What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. So I got a really cool question during my last live stream Q&A and a short little answer. It didn't really do it justice, so I figured I would make a whole episode covering that question. And today in this episode, we're gonna try to figure out which is the perfect cocktail time. And I figured, you know, what better way to cover this question than to kind of go over the 3 cocktail times that I personally own in my collection. So this isn't really gonna be a watch versus watch episode, but we are definitely gonna do a little comparing and contrasting. So maybe it is kind of a watch versus watch, whatever. It's 4:47 p.m. Let's get down to business. Okay, so I'm very excited to make this episode. I have 3 of my beloved cocktail time variants here in the office together on camera. The one here in the middle being the cocktail time, right? The Sarbo 6.5 that we all know and love. And then the other 2 being under the Presage line. Now, my first thought when we look at these watches together is that we kind of have a full spectrum here, right? Like, although they're listed as dress watches, the Fuyuga Shiki is a bit cooler, a bit brighter, a bit sporty even on that bracelet. And then here the other Presage, the Sari 082, it's a bit warmer with the brown tone of the leather and the rose gold. It's a bit more elegant and just very, very dressy. And then the Sarbo 6.5 in the middle, well, it's kind of in the middle, right? It's a bit more versatile, but let's go ahead and we'll talk about the specifications of these watches and how they're similar and how they differ. And let's start with the Sarbo 6.5. All right, here it is, the gorgeous Sarbo 6.5 cocktail time. You honestly get a little bit speechless when you see this dial playing with the light. It is absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, you'll notice, you know, this cocktail time looks a little bit different than the current Presage cocktail times, and that's because the Sarbo 6.5 came out long before the Presage line was released, and the biggest difference is actually behind the watch. That's right, the movement. This Sarbo 6.5 is powered by the 23 Joule 6R15 automatic, so you're getting hacking and hand wind, but you're getting that long 50-hour power reserve. Another thing people complain about are the dimensions. So the Sarbo 6.5 is 40 millimeters by about 13 millimeters thick, and already with this watch people were complaining that it was simply too thick to be a dress watch. I don't find that to be an issue. If you're wearing a proper dress shirt, this should easily slide under your cuff, no problem. And of course, you're getting that big Hardlex crystal. Another difference between this Sarbo 6.5 and the Presage is that the date window and the crown are a bit different, quite a bit different. And we're gonna talk about that right now when we bring in the Presage cocktail time. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. So here's the Sari 082 Presage cocktail time, and you'll notice it looks somewhat similar to the Sarbo 6.5. It has the same amazing dial texture, that kind of sunburst pattern. If we bring it up close next to the Sarbo 6.5, you'll see they both play with the light just beautifully. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at the Fuyuga Shiki limited edition cocktail time. Now you'll notice this doesn't have that sunburst pattern. It has almost a snowflake landscape, and boy is this impressive. This is an amazing watch. I loved it from the second I saw it in a little ad, and I knew I had to have it. Look at that dial texture, just amazing. Okay, so I'm back here with my Sari 082 Presage. We can all agree, Presage or not, cocktail times are beautiful. But how do they differ from the original Sarbo 6.5? Well, to see the biggest difference, we're actually going to turn the watch around and again look at the movement. So you recall, the Sarbo 6.5 cocktail time used the 6R movement with the 50-hour power reserve. But these new Presages are powered by the 29 Joule 4R57 movement. You're getting hacking and hand wind, but you're only getting a 42-hour power reserve. Okay, so I've zoomed out to showcase another difference between the original Sarbo 6.5 cocktail times and these newer Presage models. Now, this is an incredibly subtle difference, but it's enough that people complain about it, so I figured I'd bring it up. Now, you recall, 40 millimeters by 13 millimeters thick. These Presages measure in at 40.5 millimeters and 14.4 millimeters thick. So again, a little bit bigger very, very hard to notice on the wrist. I don't even know if you can see it on camera. I'm sure some of you can, but for me personally, I can't really notice the difference on my wrist. Okie dokie, so I've zoomed in quite a bit because we're going to be talking about some of the other subtle differences between the Presage and the Sarbo 6.5. I'm going to temporarily remove the Fuyugashiki from the equation because it's difficult to showcase the display case back with the bracelet on. So we're going to go ahead and just take a look at these two. This one being the Sarbo 6.5 and this one being the Sari 082 Presage. Now, of course, the Presage has the 4R movement. The Seiko Sarbo 6.5 has the 6R movement. Now guys, when the Presage were first announced, I was the first person to complain that Seiko was moving away from my beloved 6R movement. Why? Why would you get rid of the 6R movement in this new fancy schmancy Presage series? The 6R is amazing in each and every way. Well, guess what guys? The 4R movements and the 6R movements are very closely related, and it's really not that big of a deal, okay? I complained initially that the 6R has a 50-hour power reserve and it's dumb that they downgraded to a movement with a 42-hour power reserve. Okay, 42 to 50, it doesn't really matter if you're wearing it and you're winding it. I mean, 42 hours is enough in my opinion. So I don't think that's really enough to complain about, but I'm sure some of you guys have some very good arguments. But for me, now that I've spent enough time with the Sarbo 6.5s and the Presage, it doesn't bother me. The power reserve doesn't really bother me. Okie dokie, so fear not, the trio is back together again, the Fuyugashiki Presage, the Sarbo 6.5, and the Sari 082 Presage. Now, we've covered the movements, we've covered the very subtle size differences. Now let's talk about things that you can immediately see when you take a look at the watches from the front. Now, you can see the crowns. A bit different, right? The Presages have these kind of oversized crowns. I don't know if they did it to look a little bit more fancy schmancy. I don't know if they did it for a more ergonomic wind, but I gotta be honest, it is easier to pull the crown out and wind it with these oversized crowns, so maybe they did it for just, you know, ease of use. But Sarbo 6.5 has a fine crown, it's just a little bit more understated. Another difference right off the bat is the date complication, right? All three of these watches do have date complications. They're just presented very, very differently. So the Sarbo 6.5 has much more of a classic, more common date window, whereas these Presages have date dials. That's right, I'm gonna get up close and show you, but these dials are actually a little calendar down there. So another obvious difference between these watches is the use of a power reserve indicator. Now, obviously the Sarbo 6.5 doesn't have a power reserve indicator, but these new Presages do. And I know some people either love or hate power reserve indicators. I love them. I think these are done really well. I think it's fun. It's a dynamic look. It gives the watch, I don't know, a few little extra doodads on the dial. And again, I think this kind of showcases the fun of watch collecting, right? Sometimes I want a very simple, very clean look, so I'll choose the Sarbo 6.5. But if I want to get a little bit weird with it, a little bit funky, if I want a little bit more of a dynamic look, then yeah, I'll wear the watch that has some interesting things going on with that date dial and the power reserve indicator. But yeah, different strokes for different folks, and I think, you know, if you want something different, get these Presages. If you want something a little bit more classic, a little bit more clean, get the Sarbo 6.5. Now, I know, inevitably, you guys are gonna ask, which one would you pick if you could only pick one? I'm not sure I'm ever gonna be able to choose which one is the absolute best, but I think I see strengths in each one, so let's talk about it. So right off the bat, Sari 082 Presage, this has to be my go-to dress watch out of the three. Very, very elegant, warm, yet modern and dynamic. I love how that rose gold tone plays with the light. The indexes, the hands, the power reserve, very, very sharp, very, very fun, almost a little flashy, but again, tasteful. And so yeah, out of the three, this is my go-to dress watch. Now to the Fuyugashiki Presage limited edition, undoubtedly special with that highly textured, highly detailed dial. You could absolutely throw this on some leather and dress it up, but I think its strength is kind of how it pops on the bracelet, right? I mean, the whole kind of aesthetic of this watch is that icy coolness, and I think the metal of the bracelet definitely plays into that. So yeah, I think this has got that cool iciness, and it's kind of a great contrast with the warmth of my Sari 082. So this is kind of dressy, and this one is a bit sporty. I wouldn't consider it a sports watch, but it's kind of got that, I don't know, that ice. But guys, you know what? Far and away, the Sarbo 6.5 Cocktail Time, the OG Cocktail Time, this is the most versatile watch of the bunch. It's classic, has one of the most beautiful dials I've ever seen. It's very, very easy to wear. It looks great on leather, like this Hadley Roma ostrich leather strap. I've worn it on Perlon, even a Milanese bracelet, and I've actually made an episode wearing this watch on a multitude of straps, so I'll post a little pop-up that you can click. And yeah, if I had to choose only one to keep out of the three, I think I'd have to go with the Sarbo 6.5, the Cocktail Time in my opinion. So just like the argument, you know, the blue Alpinist, the green Alpinist, when I think Alpinist, I think Sarbo 17 green dial. Well, when I think Cocktail Time, I think of this Sarbo 6.5. So yeah, I don't know about you. I'd love to hear, you know, your pick. I'd love to hear which one you have, if you have one of these. And yeah, these are just the three that I own. There's a bunch of Presage variants out there now, so leave me a comment. Which one do you like? Which one's your favorite? Do you have an OG Sarbo 6.5? And are you a little bit crazy like me? Do you have multiple of the same kind of watch? Leave me a comment. I want to hear from you. We can joke about this in the comment section. So guys, as always, thank you so much for sticking around and checking out this little comparison episode. I don't know if it was technically a watch versus watch. I guess, I mean, if we want to be absolutely to the book about it, it was a watch versus watch versus watch. But to answer the question I got in the live stream, if I had to pick one out of all the Cocktail Time variants, I'd have to go with the Sarbo 6.5. So guys, as always, like, comment, subscribe, click the bell icon so you know when I upload, and check out the Time Teller shop. If you want to help me out and support the channel, go above and beyond, click the link in the description below. You can find watches like all of these that I've spoken about today. I think I even have a Fuyugashiki. I'm not positive, but I think I have one there. So I got watch straps, watch winders, watch toolkits. It's really the one-stop shop for the watch collector like you. So click the link, shop around, and you help me out a ton. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it. Real quick, if you enjoyed this episode, then do not worry, the fun doesn't need to stop here. Check out these recommended episodes that are going to be popping up on the screen anytime now. Also, take a moment, check out my brand new channel, the Time Away channel. It's where I talk about everything outside of the watch world, some of my other collections, some of my other hobbies. And if you're not interested in any of that, don't worry, just stay right here and I will see you right here. Because I never leave. I am trapped inside of this camera. Oh. Rolex 1500. Hello.